4th down and 3 after the pickup of 7. Hawkins, pressure coming. He flips it out of there, tipped and intercepted. He's going to go for a touchdown on an outstanding individual play by number 11, number 1 in the Southmoreland Hearts tonight, Jackson Mickens.
Live on the Westmoreland Sports Network, this is Westmoreland on the Gridiron, powered by Bowser. Here's your hosts, Sean Myers and Dan Flickinger.
And we welcome you into another episode of Westmoreland on the Gridiron here on the Westmoreland Sports Network. Sean Myers and the one and only Dan Flickinger. Flick, how are you?
I'm good, Sean. Thank you for asking. I think it's the first time you've ever done that to begin a show. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm all right.
Okay, great.
No, I'm very excited, actually, because we've got a lot to get to in this show. We're going to run down all the scores from week 4, which is the midway point of the regular season for the vast majority of teams across the WPIAL. We have a jam-packed plays of the week, 6 of them that we will get to. Also interviews with Jason Fazekas, the head coach of the Mount Pleasant area Vikings, and Southmoreland's Jackson Mickens, coming off an incredible performance as his Scotties are now 5-0. We'll also look ahead to the week 5 preview, as every team will officially be in conference action, or at least starting conference action by this weekend. But Flick, some really significant games across Westmoreland County this past Friday. We're going to talk about the one that you were at. But first, I think we're going to talk about the one that everyone was, browsing the score tracker to see, could Norwin pull off maybe the biggest win in decades? They were so close, and yet they come up just short. 20-17, they fell at home against North Allegheny. They led the game for the majority. They were probably, for much of the game, the better team. They didn't get the win. That said, I feel like this proved that they are a very legitimate contender in Class 6A. And if they see the Tigers again, I think that they would have a real chance to win.
Yeah, and you're right. That's one of the scores that we were paying attention to all night long. And, of course, we were broadcasting it as well. You and I weren't, but Dave Franzak, Brian Brzezinski did a great job of bringing that one. We had a ton of people tune into the game as well. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Obviously had a lot of interest, especially when they saw what the score was. And, that game, Sean, it just boiled down to a couple of plays. Norman's up 10-0 in the second quarter. North Allegheny blocks a punt, results in a touchdown for NA. Norman's up 17-7, last play of the third quarter, 63-yard slant play to Ben Kern. He runs it back for a touchdown. It's 17-14. And then North Allegheny intercepts a pass off a deflection and scores with 5:37 left to go ahead. Norman has that final chance. 4th down and 2. They elect not to try the 40-yard field goal from Tristan Josephik, which, of course, that was debated and will continue to be debated. And Rotroff, who had a really nice game, gets stopped by, I think it was Chris Hoke's son, actually, who made the game-winning tackle for North Allegheny. So, it's good. You're building that momentum, and you're feeling, I guess, good after that game if you're Norwin in a way, because, like you said, you can play with them. But on the other side of it, though, this is the year they felt like they could beat them. Now, maybe they'll play them again in the playoffs, but they really felt like they had a chance, and they were right there. They feel they should have won the game, and they didn't. So that definitely stings, even though there are some good things to feel good about.
And I don't want to get too far ahead, because the second you start doing that, if you're the Knights, and then maybe you slip up in a game that at this point, I think it's fair to say, other than Pittsburgh Central Catholic, they should beat every other opponent in 6A, just based on what we've seen so far. You don't take that for granted, but the way the playoffs work, 4 teams make it. The 1 seed, which most people would suspect will be Central Catholic, will play the 4 seed, meaning the 2 seed plays the 3 seed. North Allegheny, maybe the 2 seed. So we'll see. The Knights will potentially have another crack. They still have a long, long way to go. But I feel like if they play like they did on Friday, they're going to be just fine in the 6A bracket. Obviously, they've already defeated Seneca Valley. So they have Cannon McMillan, Mount Lebanon, and Hempfield as, the games that they probably should win from here on out. They can run the football. They can play defense. There's a lot to like. And more than anything else, they've got a quarterback that I feel like they probably trust as much as anyone in all of the WPIAL.
Yeah, definitely. And we saw it in that game too, able to move around a little bit. And, Tristan Tavares always, has that element to his game where he can escape the pocket or, be able to get some yards on design runs and keep the defense off balance and those types of things. And again, they have a good weapon in their kicker. And, I don't know if we're going to get into this or not, Sean, but again, they did decide to go for it on 4th and 2 instead of trying to get the tie. There's certainly arguments on both sides. You go for a field goal, bad things can happen. They had a punt blocked earlier. The field goal could get blocked. The snap could be bad. Tristan could miss it. And, they're running the football well. They decide to run the ball on 4th down, and 2, and they don't get it. And maybe they, at that point too, they're trying to get the touchdown to win the game as opposed to just tying it. So I think there's arguments on both sides.
Well, ultimately, it was a disappointment for the Knights. But again, I think they have a lot to be proud of, and there's still plenty more of opportunities to make some noise in 6A. There is one team out of the 18 in all of Westmoreland County high school football that is still undefeated. Who would have guessed it was the Southmoreland Scotties? They stay perfect with an impressive 28-7 victory against Ringgold. Ringgold is a pretty impressive team this year. They've opened a lot of eyes, and yet Southmoreland really defensively was outstanding in the game. They got a couple field goals as well. It seems like they're clicking on all cylinders, and I know you had the pleasure of calling this one. We're going to hear from one of their star players, Jackson Mickens, a little bit later. If you would have gone back in August and said that would be the team that would be the last one to lose a game in Westmoreland County, I would have not believed you, even though they've been trending up the last few years. It felt like with some of the adversity that they were going to have to go through replacing a superstar quarterback, there was just no way that they'd be able to be 5-0 at this point. But it's not one guy. It's a lot of guys that are contributing in a big, big way.
That's a really good way of putting it. That's exactly what John Bainbridge said on the broadcast, that it's not just one superstar or two. There's so many different guys that are just contributing. And most of that comes on defense. I mean, when you look at football teams, you always want to start with the offense. And obviously a big question mark coming into the year, with Anthony Smith leaving, how good can Dawson Wolf be? He can be good enough. And he's a really physical, tough, hard-nosed kid that, he throws the ball good enough and he runs the ball well as well and gets tough yards. And we saw him do that really well, get those tough yards. Against Ringgold on Friday, but he starts with the defense. And by the way, Dawson Wolf's one of the best players on that side of the ball too. For Southmoreland, he recovered a fumble last week, but Jackson Mickens was unbelievable. I mean, he was everywhere on defense. And again, they went up against a quarterback in Dennis Hawkins, the transfer from Monessen, who has incredible athleticism. The only I'd say negative for Southmoreland was the touchdown that Ringgold scored. They scored it on a 1st down and goal from the 20. And it was just kind of a breakdown of sorts. And Hawkins ran for a touchdown. Hey, there's another team out there too that's going to make plays. And he makes a lot of plays. But other than that, they rushed him all night long. They forced him into bad throws. He threw an interception. Again, there was a fumble created. And then the play of the game, which I think we're going to see a little bit later on in plays of the week, Mickens was unbelievable. First, he had 3 sacks in the game, but he tipped the pass at the line of scrimmage from his defensive end spot, found the ball, located the ball in the air, secured it, and ran it back for a touchdown. That was the final touchdown of the game. So, their offense, I wouldn't say it was a tremendous showing, but they did enough. And their defense was just flying around making plays. Again, the pass rush, the interceptions. They were really, really impressive against a Ringgold team, Sean, that, like you said, came in. Their running back, Ward, had the second most amount of rushing yards in the WPIL. Dimitri Lowe is a really good receiver. They got the ball to him early, but Southmoreland didn't let him beat them. And then, their quarterback, again, Hawkins, he's really athletic. So it's not an easy team to defend. Southmoreland made it, I don't know if they made it look easy, but they kind of did in a way too. So, and I think games like that help, when you look at how they're built. I know they're still looking for that playoff win. It makes you feel good that their defense is that good. It's not like they're relying on big plays or anything like that. I mean, they're just solid. And I think if they stay healthy, I really do believe they can win a playoff game this year. Still a long way to go. Got to stay healthy. Got to see how they perform. But I was really impressed.
Well, a few things that stood out to me. You mentioned Amani Ward. 6 carries for 6 yards.
Yeah, they didn't use, and Coach Heller said after the game, Ringgold's coach said, "Why didn't we use him more?" Like basically said, "I should have used him more," and only had 6 carries. It was pretty surprising.
And Liam Smith with a couple of field goals. So they ultimately win by 21. But if they're in another close game, they have to feel pretty good about potentially getting 3 off of his foot. So, I mean, that's impressive. And Dustin Schoaf has done an incredible job. I believe he's the youngest coach in the entire WPIAL, and he's getting it done in a big, big way. And I think that whole team is believing. Now, 2019, they were 5-0. And kind of fell off a cliff. They lost their final 6 games.
And they started really good last year, too.
Yes, I feel like this team's different. That said, it's really important to win games like this now, because the most important thing for them to win a playoff game is to get a good seed. And winning games like this, even if they don't win the conference, they probably should get a top 8 seed, a home matchup. So if you can win games against decent 4A opponents when you're in 3A, that might move you up a spot or 2 when it ultimately comes to the seeding. They're going to have, more tests in front of them. But right now I'm looking at a team that probably, I think, worst case scenario should go 9-1.
Yeah, I agree with that. And man, I mean, it's going to be fun watching them play, Mount Pleasant, who's had a good year, but Elizabeth Forward game, you got to circle that as well. I'm obviously going to get by Derry and some other teams too, but with the way that they're playing, I mean, those games could become obviously massive for them. But yeah, I mean, if you're a betting man, I wouldn't be surprised if they finished at least with the 9-1 record. But again, injuries and those type of things can change it. We'll see where they are.
Well, a team that maybe has a little bit less of a record than we had anticipated at this point are the Jeanette Jayhawks. After, the run that they had last season, I thought that they were going to be an elite squad in Class 1A. Unfortunately for them, they were on the wrong side of a thriller at Leechburg area. 36-27, they fell. A game in which they had the lead into the 4th quarter, but Tim Andersey just went off for the Blue Devils. 37 carries, 257 yards, 4 touchdowns. Jeanette's got top-notch skill guys. We talk so much about Brown and Powell, but probably the best player on the field in this one belonged to the home team in Leechburg. And ultimately, that's a tough loss, because now you're probably thinking, unless they pull off a stunner against Clairton, they might be a 3rd-place team, if not 4th-place team, knowing that they still have to go against GCC as well this season.
Yeah, and I think they still have the potential to be the team that you were talking about. I still think they have the playmakers to have that happen. It's just up front, I think that's where, they struggle a bit. And that's going to be tough against Clairton, man. I saw
and that's where they graduated their 2 seniors from last year.
And I, like I said, I saw Clairton a couple weeks ago against GCC, and man, they are big. They got some big guys up front. So, Jeanette's going to have to make some plays, some splash plays, which they did last week. But when you have, Timmy Andrasey going, for 37 carries against you, just keeps pounding you and pounding you and pounding you. It makes things difficult. I mean, they basically did whatever they wanted to do in the ground game. The crazy part was Jeanette nearly came up with a huge play in the 4th quarter. Jace Powell punched the ball away from Andrasey right near the goal line. Destin Sanders nearly recovered it for Jeanette, but then Andrasey ends up jumping on it for what ended up being the go-ahead touchdown and the game-winning touchdown, I should say, early on in the 4th quarter. Just a crazy play there. So, at that point, there's a lot of time left. So Jeanette still has an opportunity. They run for a touchdown. They, as in Kimani Brown, runs for a touchdown, but it gets called back because of holding. And then Jeanette never got the ball back in the end zone. You had Leechburg then scoring to win the game. But just an opportunity missed there by Jeanette, nearly came up with a fumble. And then and that's the kind of game it was. And I think that's what Jeanette's going to need to do against some of those teams. Like, they need to come up with some turnovers. They get some splash plays, which they did get splash plays, but unfortunately not enough. And I also saw after the game that they said Kimani threw up before the second half. To get some. He was feeling good after that, I suppose, because he did, again, play well in the second half, but maybe not so much after the game.
I do wonder, because if we go back to their loss against Mount Pleasant, they were clearly the better team in the first half, and then it got away from them. Yeah. And I wonder if they're, probably not going to be the bigger team in many matchups. Do they get worn down by the third and fourth quarter. What can they do to overcome that? You mentioned they have to make more splash plays, but I think that is a little concerning that their two losses somewhat similar. They weren't quite as dominant. You figured the game against Leechburg would be back and forth, but twice now the opposition that knocked them off was clearly the better team in the second half. And I wonder, can they get back to that team that we saw in the postseason that had those two great upsets? Because I truly thought they would pick up where they left off in 2024. And so far, really, they haven't been able to do that fully.
And it's discouraging to see a running back, again, carry the ball 30. I mean, it's hard to argue with the fact that they were not tired, right? I mean, it's hard to argue, or that they were tired. It's hard to argue that because when a running back goes 37 carries against you and runs for over 200 yards, that has to wear you down. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I know Thomas Pallone's a very bright young coach. So hopefully, they have something in store for Clareton this week. I know that, they were up against it too. He's not going to make excuses, but I know there were some guys that were questionable coming into the game, ended up playing, but guys are banged up. They already don't have a ton of depth. And that's the other problem too. I actually interviewed Thomas Pallone before the Jeanette Leechburg game for the pregame show. And I asked him, I said, when you get into games where you can get guys out of the game, so they blew out Frazier the week before, I said, how much does that help you with, not having much depth? And he said, normally it would, but we don't have any depth. So we can't get guys out of the game. The guys have to continue playing for the most part. Sure, he can make some changes, but so that's obviously something Jeanette's going up against as well. Just, the lack of depth.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, they lost to Leechburg last year. They lost to Clareton last year. But ultimately, once they got to the postseason, that didn't really matter. It's about peaking at the right time. And I think that they're clearly going to be a playoff team, and they're going to be a dangerous playoff team. But it's starting to wonder ultimately what their ceiling might be here in 2025 when you see that they're struggling in a few games to close out the opposition. Well, Greater Latrobe was not able to close out the opposition. A tough loss for the Wildcats in a game that came down to the wire as they fell 17-14 against the Armstrong Riverhawks. Daniel Pearson's 23-yard field goal proved the difference. And I know that this, more than breaking down the game specifically, just looking at big picture, it feels like a massive game in that Big East Conference because Greater Latrobe had a chance to go to 2-0. Oddly enough, because Woodland Hills has only played one conference game, it's Gateway at 2-0. Greater Latrobe had a chance to match them. Now Armstrong's 1-0. And so it just kind of creates more of a jumbled mess. But even though Greater Latrobe's probably not as good of a team as what they were a year ago, if you get to 2-0, you're in really good shape in terms of making the postseason. So it feels like this could be a loss that maybe haunts them 3 or 4 weeks down the road.
Yeah, this definitely is a tough one. And they didn't get off to a great start. And I think obviously that helped sink them. Now, when you fall behind 14-0 after giving up the opening kickoff return touchdown and then a 62-yard touchdown run, typically it's really hard for teams to come back from that. I mean, you're kind of shell shocked, but they did come back, fight back, and make the game 14-14. Penalties hurt Latrobe. There were multiple pass interference penalties. Even though they only give up 10 points on defense, those penalties kind of extended some drives. But just offensively, they couldn't do a whole lot. I mean, we actually saw two quarterbacks, Sean. Obviously, Dom Scarton, who's been starting all year, but Ty Wisniewski also saw some time back there. And I know he was more of a running quarterback in the game. And I think that's something we may see in the future. Both guys, getting snaps back there, but they're looking for some cohesion. And I believe, Andy Tash is still out for Latrobe.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly that there's a timeline on it, but my understanding was that he has been out, and it's a question now of he's going to probably come back at some point, but might it be too late for the Wildcats' sake in terms of getting where they want to get?
Yeah, that's why it would have been nice to get this win for sure. Maybe you win this game, you get him back soon. He injects something into the team, and it's just really hard again, losing what they did last year and then, losing Andy Tash then, to injury. I'm sure it's been tough, but again, mentally, and I'm sure there's some encouraging things for Coach McIntyre, but yeah, that was a really, really tough loss when you're right there and have an opportunity to win it.
And especially when you look at what's on the horizon as they have to go to the Wolf Arena. So, I mean, that's a brutal matchup for them. And by the way, they have a non-conference game still remaining. That's just how the conference plays out. Penn Trafford, for instance, is playing the non-conference against Plum this week. In a few weeks, it'll be Greater Latrobe. Well, they're going to be at home for it. The problem is it's against Pine Richland.
Pine Richland.
So that's not going to be a week where you can really get right and, rest your guys and stuff like that. It's awfully tough. So you feel like you have to make hay against the Armstrongs in this conference if you want to get in. And remember, they got a wild card berth last year that I think really because they had a good start to the season, they probably got the tiebreaker, if you will, over a team like Kiski. But I don't know if they're going to get the benefit of the doubt this year. So it feels like it could be a tough loss for Coach McIntyre's squad as they fall in heartbreaking fashion against Armstrong. We will take a break. When we come back, we'll run down the rest of the scores from week 4 of the WPIAL high school football season. We'll also look at the top performers. And a little bit later, plays of the week. Jason Fazekas, the head coach of the Mount Pleasant area Vikings, and Jackson Mickens, the star for the Southmoreland Scotties, as well as a week 5 preview. That's all upcoming right here on Westmoreland on the Gridiron.
Game day or any day, the power of Bowser is here to get you where you need to go. From the latest Hyundai, Nissan, Subaru, Chevrolet, GMC, Buick, and Genesis models to quality pre-owned vehicles, Bowser has the perfect lineup for your drive. Look for a winning deal. Bowser's got the plays, great financing, top trade-in values, and a selection that's always in season. From the first whistle to the final buzzer, Bowser Automotive is your hometown MVP. Bowser Automotive, Route 51 South on top of the hill. PowerofBowser.com.
You can't count all the ways you take care of your family in a single busy day. But knowing you made a difference in their lives is all the reward you need. At AHN Neighborhood Hospitals, that's what motivates us too. Whether it's our loved ones or yours.
We continue here on Westmoreland on the Gridiron. You know where to find us. It's Wednesday at 7 p.m. on the Westmoreland Sports Network. We're ready to talk about some of the bigger stories from this past week, but let's look at all the scores from across Westmoreland County. We had 6 different broadcasts you can go back and watch or listen to. We'll start with them. We mentioned North Allegheny 20 and Norwin 17 as the Tigers stay perfect on the campaign heartbreak for the Knights. Penn Trafford 42-0 over Kiski area. You can go back and watch that one, especially if you're a Warriors fan. Nick Ponko went off in this game. But I think the biggest story, Flick, is on one side, the return of an injured player, and on the other side, a new injury that could really doom the Cavaliers. That's Landon Artman, their quarterback. He went out in the second quarter, did not return. Hopefully, it's not anything serious. They had to go with Avon Shirley at quarterback, and at that point, the game was already out of hand, but that would be a big loss if they're without Artman. But Jamison Yurt comes back for Penn Trafford, has a handful of snaps. They didn't need to use him a whole lot, especially because they had the game in command from the get-go, but he seems like a missing link for PT. So I do think that they could go on a really nice run over the latter stages of this season.
I thought you were going to say a missile, not a missing link, because I went back and watched some of the game, and I think his first tackle that he made, he came all the way from the left side to the right side and just drilled. I don't know who it was that was running the ball for Kiski.
Might have been Avon Shirley.
Shirley, probably. Yeah, he gets up and he's all pumped up, and you could hear the crowd like cheering a little extra for him because of who made the tackle. It wasn't just a routine tackle. They knew who it was and coming back, and that was really cool to see. So hopefully he can continue to get his snap count up because he's such a valuable player. I think we've seen it already, him being out, how much it's hurt Penn Trafford, again, leading tackler last year.
Yeah, he reintroduced himself in a big way. You have to wonder if that defense would have had a much different look against Woodland Hills if he was out there healthy. Southmoreland 28, Ringgold 7. If you want to watch Flick do play-by-play, go back and check that one out. This was a wild one. Indiana area 41, Derry area 34. Max Doherty, he wasn't our player of the week, but he certainly could have been. He is having himself a year. 222 yards, 4 touchdowns. I don't think you can blame the Trojans offense in this one. They just couldn't get enough stops against the Little Indians.
Yeah, Max was definitely considered. We typically try to keep it to, the team winning. But come on. If you want to make an argument for him, I'll hear it. 4 touchdowns and over 200 rushing yards was ridiculous. Obviously, Derry needed to make some stops. They did not do so. They had some issue. I think they had a blocked punt against them or something. I know they made some mistakes. And we've seen that actually from them, despite winning. They have a good record, and the couple weeks prior to that, they could have won more comfortably. Not that teams don't make mistakes; everybody does. But I know that's something that they're trying to continue to clean up. They went up against a 4A team. I know Indiana's not having a great year this year, but it was nice to see Max do what he did, and hopefully for them it'll continue into this week. They'll definitely need him to do something maybe similar against a really good Southmoreland defense.
Did your brother get a hero's welcome returning to Indiana?
That's not what I heard. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I hope he stopped at 9th Street Deli. That's all. I was going to ask him to bring me back a steak sub or maybe an Italian or something, but Hayden probably went there and ate. So
yeah, and we don't. IUP's playing at Seton Hill, so we don't have the opportunity.
We can't even go. I could drive up, I guess, myself someday. I don't know.
Yeah. Gateway 33, Franklin Regional 28. It has just been a tough season for the Panthers. They are winless. I mentioned I wouldn't have picked Southmoreland as the team that is still unblemished. Certainly would not have picked Franklin Regional as a winless team at this point. Fourth quarter fumbles dooming them. Freshman quarterback Mason Miller for the Gators throws for over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns in the victory for Gateway, and the Gators are now 2-0 in conference play. Leechburg 36, Jeanette 27. You can go back and listen to that one as well. Pittsburgh Central Catholic 59, Hempfield area 7, Roman Thompson 4 rushing touchdowns. Tough one for the Spartans. Hopefully they have these 2 rough ones now behind them, going against North Allegheny and Pittsburgh Central Catholic in consecutive weeks on the road. It should be a heck of a lot easier from here on out. Armstrong 17, Greater Latrobe 14. We talked about that. Heartbreaker for the Wildcats. Freeport area 34, Burrell 7, Antonio Perkins 135 passing and 130 rushing, and the only touchdown in the loss for the Buccaneers.
Freeport's pretty good this year. I just want to cut in real quick. Freeport's having a good year. They're solid.
They are very, very good. Yeah. And I believe they were down one of their better players in that game, and it still didn't matter. So, yeah, that's a very good Yellow Jackets team. Our Lady of the Sacred Heart 40, Ligonier Valley 6. Despite the loss, Grayson Doherty is doing some really good things for the Rams. They certainly need a highlight with the way their season has gone. Greensburg Central Catholic 34, Brentwood 6. Samir Crosby has 3 rushing touchdowns, also snagged an interception on defense for the Centurions. Some history made in this one. Fort Cherry 55, Monessen 6. First off, that's super impressive for the Rangers because Monessen had been 4-0. But the story of the game, Matt Sigg breaking the all-time WPIAL touchdowns record that was held by 2 different Clairton Bears. They had 117 apiece. Flick, can you name those 2 players?
I know one's Tyler Boyd. Was Wade the other one?
Lamont Wade. That's right. Wade? Yes.
Was I right with Tyler Boyd?
That's correct. Yeah.
All right. I don't even get like a ding, ding, ding. Okay, go ahead.
Matt Sigg, 3 touchdowns, now 118 in his career. Here's the crazy thing. He's a quarterback. He doesn't get credit for his passing touchdowns.
Right.
So these are only rushing, receiving. I don't think he has any receiving. So rushing, and I believe he has a couple interception and like 4 punt return touchdowns. He scored 118 total, and he still might have 10 more games to go in his career. So he is going to smash the previous record, the future Nittany Lion.
That might become untouchable for a while anyway.
Yes. Yeah. This is WPAL. This is not state. He probably won't get to the state record. No surprise. The state record holder played for Southern Columbia, Gage Garcia. But Sig is one of the very best that has come along in a long, long time. South Fayette 28, Bell Vernon area 7. Good news, Purdy Wade did play in the game, did score a touchdown. He was knocked out of the game the prior week against McKeesport. Chase Petrosky went for over 100 yards rushing in the loss. Mount Pleasant area, 49-0 over Laurel Highlands. There's a lot of guys that stood out, but Brady Brooks with a 65-yard punt return touchdown. We will hear from Jason Fazekas, the Vikings head coach, in just a little bit. Ambridge area knocks off Greensburg-Salem 42-32 in a high-scoring affair. Brody Chismar, 259 yards passing, also rushed for nearly 80. Blackhawk beats up on York 49-6. Quaker Valley makes sure that Valley remains winless as the Quakers win 29-20. Seton Hill suffers a loss on the other side of the state, 34-16. They fall to Westchester. And Geneva 55, St. Vincent 35. Flick, I told you last week, the quarterback for the Bearcats is former Hempfield Spartan Jake Phillips.
I heard he had a big game.
Big is an understatement. 485 yards passing and 4 touchdowns, and they still lost by 20.
Oh, my gosh. They got to get their Derry's defense and St. Vincent's defense got to get on track here.
My goodness. He was a very good high school quarterback, and he has been perfect to fit in at St. Vincent.
That's
now, of
awesome.
course, he wants to win games. He would probably rather take a low-scoring win than thrown for 485 and 4 scores in a loss. But Jake Phillips, a name to keep an eye on.
I'll tell you what, I know Hempfield hasn't had a ton of success, like team-wise, but they've had some good quarterbacks. They really
Dante Nania.
Yeah, going back to
Ty
him.
George.
Justin Slowoski, Ty George. Yeah.
Dom Dietrich
is
right next in line in that group, no doubt about it. So we mentioned a few of these names already. Let's take a look at the top performers from this past week, top passer, rusher, and receiver from across the entire WPIAL, and then several notables from Westmoreland County. The freshman from Gateway, Mason Mitchell, the top passer, 313 yards through the air on 14 of 21. Brody Chismar of Greensburg-Salem led Westmoreland County quarterbacks with 259 on 17 of 27. Dominic Davola of Franklin Regional, 13 of 18 for 173. Dom Dietrich of Hempfield goes 160 on 14 of 18. Very efficient despite the fact that they were on the wrong side of a blowout. Kimani Brown of Jeanette, 10 of 26 for 156. And Nate Desmond of Penn Trafford throws for 154. The top rusher, David Dennison of Bethel Park, 317 yards on the ground. That's nearly 100 more than Max Doherty of Derry area, who went for 222. Kimani Brown of Jeanette, once again on this list, he rushed for 135. Antonio Perkins of Burrow, 130. Chase Petrosky of Bell Vernon, 108. And Aiden Schaefer, the quarterback for the York Cougars, had 104 yards rushing. Lastly, the receivers, 209 yards for Demetrius Crosby of Summit Academy on 10 receptions. Nick Ponko of Penn Trafford had 135 on 5 grabs. He also factored in offensively another way that we'll get to momentarily. Grayson Doherty of Ligonier Valley, 5 grabs for 102. Jack Copas, 87 yards for Hempfield. And Greensburg-Salem's Max Topper, who is a tight end, not a wide receiver, had 82 yards on 6 receptions. That'll do it for the Week 4 scoring rundown and the top performers from the week as well. We'll take a break, but you have to stick around. Another massive edition of Plays of the Week is next, right here on Westmoreland on the Gridiron.
Some moments on the field go beyond the game. They shape who we become. At Home Team Collections, we honor those moments with the care and craftsmanship they deserve. Because these moments aren't just memories, they're a legacy worth preserving. Any team, any sport, any logo. Visit HomeTeamCollections.com today and save $10 off your first order.
The prevention of youth and adult substance abuse in our communities is so important, and our goal at CSAE is to do just that. CSAE works to provide education, encourage recovery, and create social change.
Join us at CSAE.
Because to see the change, you have to be the change.
The Collision Shop by Jason Mignone is your one-stop shop for all things auto body repair. Our experienced technicians and state-of-the-art facilities have you covered on both passenger and heavy-duty vehicle repairs, including scratches, scrapes, and dents, free estimates, body repairs, welding, refinishing, glass replacement, and more. Our all-new alignment and calibration shop has the tooling, equipment, and staffing to ensure top-quality alignment and calibration adjustments for your vehicle. Our friendly office staff is more than happy to assist you through every step of your vehicle's repair process. Visit the Collision Shop by Jason.com for our complete list of services.
We continue here on Westmoreland on the Gridiron. And Click, you know what's on the horizon right now?
Oh, yes, I do, buddy.
It is
plays
of
the week.
You got it. It is plays of the week, and we got a lot to get to here tonight. We will begin with Penn Trafford. And for the Warriors, everything was working on Friday in their win against Kiskeria, including a trick play that saw Nick Ponko on the other end of a long connection to give his team complete command in the second quarter, with myself and another Sean Benjamin calling the action.
Desmond pitches it to Ponko. Looks like he wants to throw it. Pretty good looking pass, and it's caught. And Boss trying to make a house call. And he will, 75 yards on the trick play, and the Warriors go up 20-0. John Ruane dialed it up perfectly.
Able to get the turnover on downs, and they went deep right away. Coming around on the motion, flipped it to Ponko, the lefty. Threw a deep one to Boss there, and he was able to make the catch and take it the distance for the 6.
It is Boss time. That was a heck of a throw by Ponko as well.
It was.
He's not a quarterback, but you want to know it from that pass.
So, Sean, this past spring, we saw Cam Ponko making big plays for Penn Trafford softball, and now it's little brother Nick making some big plays for Penn Trafford football. And, man, he's had an awesome year for Penn Trafford, the passing game, and then, of course, the trick play right there. And we'll see what he has in store the rest of the season.
That wasn't an easy pass either. I mean, that had to be a legitimate pass and a nice catch by Boss, and then to take it the rest of the way. Sometimes trick plays, it's wide open, and like all you have to do is get it close. That one was covered fairly well. So, I mean, it was more impressive to see his arm, and maybe something that John Ruane can go back to in the future now that he's seen it work.
Hey, Riverboat Ruane, that's what Tim Cortazzo nicknamed him a long time ago. He likes to take those gambles, likes to run those trick plays, and it worked out there.
Onside kicks, loves those as well. We continue plays of the week with Norwin, and although the Knights came up short in the end, they provided plenty of highlights against North Allegheny, including a third quarter connection, Tristan Tavares and Zach Pauling to go up by 10 points, with Dave Franzak and Brian Brzezinski on the call.
But still, second and 8 right here.
Yep. Grant Gertie was one of the men running off late for the Tigers, looking to throw. And it's a bubble screen to Pauling. Pauling gets some blocking to the 20, 15, 10-5, touchdown Norwin.
And I tell you what, great job by Zach Pauling, right? He understands this game, trusts his blocker, doesn't try to do too much with it, just stays on the catch up in the blocking scheme. And man, he just does a great job of making sure that the end tacklers aren't able to grab his feet, accelerates the end zone, huge touchdown, great play by Zach Pauling, especially answering the adversity where they should have been in a flag situation. They didn't hang their heads, they just went on through the next punch, and that next punch was a touchdown.
Just watching that, Sean, gives me chills because you could hear how big the crowd was there and how energetic that they were. Especially on that play. And Dave's call was really good, and Brian jumping in there, and man, it's just such a shame they came that close to knocking off on that.
Yeah, well, again, I think
no offense to all the NA people watching, by the way, which I'm sure they're on.
Randy Gore's fuming right now at you. We continue plays of the week with Derry area, and the Trojans, they were on the wrong end of a high-scoring affair in Indiana, but Max Doherty continued his incredible season, highlighted by a long burst in the third quarter that pulled his team even, with John Flickinger and Bob Lisinski detailing that touchdown.
Trojans trying to answer something. It's been all Indiana here in the second half, but Doherty breaks free, and he's going to make a house call!
Touchdown number 3 from 57 yards out, John.
At the 7:41 mark. And it looks like a good old shootout going to happen here tonight. 27-26. Max showing some speed certainly there once he got into the open field. Who's going to stop anybody here tonight, right?
Hands is back and forth.
Max Doherty running wild, brother, all night long. I like his shoes. They were like neon yellow or neon I guess they were yellow, not green, but they were neon. I know that.
Has he gotten a nickname? Mad Max?
I mean,
I need to know this. I'm doing the Dairy football game.
You do. I mean, it seems easy, so I guess we can go with that. We'll try to think of something else more creative.
Okay.
Between now and Friday.
All right. We got plenty of time to brainstorm. We continue plays of the week with Southmoreland and Jackson Mickens, who we're going to hear from in just a little bit. He was the star of the night for the Scotties. He put an exclamation point on their victory with the pick six late in the fourth, with Dan and John Bainbridge captioning that sequence.
4th down and 3 after the pickup of 7. Hawkins, pressure coming. He flips it out of there, tipped and intercepted. He's going to go for a touchdown on an outstanding individual play by number 11, number 1 in the Southmoreland Hearts tonight, Jackson Mickens.
Wow. That time he didn't rush the passer quite as much as he had in the past. Number 1, Chapman came up the middle, forced Hawkins to throw it to his left quickly. Mickens had a pretty good vertical there, getting up in the air. Outstanding athlete. He scored last week on a punt block, right? And today he scores on a defensive interception.
Yeah, scoop and score after the punt block against Blackhawk last week. And wow, what an individual effort. That will be on Plays of the Week, I can guarantee you, on Westmoreland.
And Chapman helped it. He made him throw it maybe a little bit quicker.
He was a factor all night long, and that play was one of the best individual plays I think I've ever seen at the high school level, man. It maybe looks easy, but to deflect the pass and then find it in the air among the lights and the night sky and to pull that in and then use his athleticism to get to the end zone. That was exciting, man. Big crowd. And by the way, Coach Bainbridge, he mentioned Stanley Chapman. That's a name I didn't mention earlier. He was really good. He's been very good defensively this year for Southmoreland. He had some of that pressure on Hawkins, and Jackson Mickens did the rest.
And by the way, Mickens, I believe, garnered Division I offers before his sophomore year even began. Yep. And sometimes I look and see he's not putting up massive offensive numbers, but you see what he's doing on defense, and it's like, okay, it makes sense now. He's still a very young player, and you see those flashes in a game that he basically just dominated on that side of the football.
That poor left tackle for a Ringgold. Oh, my goodness.
We continue plays of the week with Franklin Regional, and although the offense got going in the second half against Gateway, the Panthers did not crack the scoreboard until the final seconds of the first half, as a touchdown pass from Davola to Tyrone Leonard deadlocked the score, with Jonathan Whaley painting the picture.
So here we go. Davola dropping back. Davola stepping up, rolling to his right. Looking, a lot of traffic in the end zone. Man's open. Caught! 15-yard touchdown reception for Franklin Regional. It's 7-6. What a catch. Tyrone Leonard, the junior, on the 15-yard reception. The Franklin Regional Panthers on a 15-yard TD reception by Leonard from Davola, who showed good poise and decision-making. And we are tied with 32 seconds.
A lot of great action Friday night. That was a good one, too. Franklin Regional and Gateway. Tyrone Leonard hauling in that touchdown pass from Davola. Unfortunately, wasn't enough against the Gators.
Who do you think the Panthers' biggest rival is? Do you think it's Gateway? Do you think it's Penn Trafford?
I'd say probably
Plum was a big rivalry.
See, that's what I was going to say first. I'd say Penn Trafford. Although they've had some good games against Gateway the last few years. So I don't know. One of those two, Gateway or Penn Trafford. I'll still probably lean PT, but it's nice to see, even though both teams aren't having great years. Although Gateway, they're okay in the conference right now. But still, those two teams, they've played some good games the last few years for sure.
Well, we know some of the Jayhawks rivals, and although maybe not quite as established as the Bears or the Centurions, Leechburg's becoming one of those with some of the games they've had. And it was a tough loss for the Jayhawks at Leechburg, but Jeanette made plenty of big plays, including a spectacular touchdown pass, Kimani Brown to Xavier Odorizio-Ferro in the third quarter, with Brent Wiggum and Anthony D'Annunzio highlighting that action.
Brown back to pass again. Looking to throw. Coming near side along the sideline. XOF. Tiptoe. Gets downfield. They say he did not step out of bounds. Did he get in? Yes, he did. XOF. 46-yard touchdown reception.
What a nice job by Kimani Brown to elude the pressure of Ben Tallarico. He had him in the backfield, Kimani Brown does a fantastic job to get some space, give himself some room, and what a job by Xavier Doricio-Ferro to not only catch that football, but to catch it, elude a tackler, and tiptoe along the sideline and into the end zone for the score.
Randy Walters wants the referees to think about whether he stepped out of bounds or not. They do conference, but they will say touchdown. XOF banged up, but he gets a big 46-yard reception.
The guy they call X, or XOF, as Brent Wiggum so eloquently calls him. Great play there. And he, as Brent just said, he was one of the guys that was questionable. Weren't sure if we were going to see him last week against Leechburg. And if he doesn't play, who knows? Maybe Jeanette loses by a couple of touchdowns. But great play there. And they definitely have the playmakers, Jeanette does. They're going to need them all cooking this week against Claret.
XOF is a guy who has put together some highlight reel plays, whether it be in football or basketball, even as well. Yes, a very emphatic dunk. Yeah. That will do it for plays of the week, but we've got a lot more still to come. Couple of interviews upcoming. Jason Fazikis, the head coach of the Mount Pleasant Vikings, and then Jackson Mickens from the rival of Mount Pleasant, the Southmoreland Scotties. And a little bit later on, we'll look ahead at the Week 5 preview. That's all upcoming right here on the Westmoreland Sports Network's Westmoreland on the Gridiron.
Play It Again Sports in Greensburg is your locally owned and operated sporting goods store. We set ourselves apart by offering a wide variety of both new and used equipment at competitive prices. Located in the Greengate East Plaza, below Walmart, Play It Again Sports' knowledgeable staff will help you and your family prepare for every athletic season. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or trade, we are here as your one-stop shop. At Play It Again Sports in Greensburg, everybody plays.
Over the years, car dealerships have come and gone, but one name has stood the test of time. Smale? The Smale family's commitment to excellence is unwavering. We're proud to announce the grand opening of our new Smale Kia showroom. Right now, get up to $1,000 APR bonus cash on select models, plus 0% financing for up to 48 months on 2025 Kia Sportage and Kia Sorento gas models. Don't miss these savings. Now it's Smale Kia, Route 30 East, Greensburg.
What are you doing? Hold on. What are you doing? What are you doing? What's that thing?
We continue here with Westmoreland on the Gridiron. Sean Myers now joined by Jason Fazikis, a longtime head coach of the Mount Pleasant area Vikings. His team coming off of a dominant victory last Friday against Laurel Highlands, and they begin conference play this week against the Yacht Cougars. First off, Jason, thank you so much for doing this. Glad to talk to you again, and I'm sure you're pretty happy after last week, a dominant 49-0 victory. In a game like that, obviously, your team has to be clicking in all phases. So what were some of the biggest takeaways from that win against the Mustangs?
Well, I think probably one of the most important things we took away from that game is we got hit with some injuries there last couple of weeks, and we're trying to fight through that and manage those, those breaks as best as we can. So it was nice to see some of the kids that we put in different spots, to see them actually execute and play the game right. So to be able to do it, score that many points, I mean, I'm going to take it every time. So I think just, take away that our kids were able to fight through some of this adversity that we got hit with is probably one of the biggest points that we take away from it.
Well, you mentioned the injuries. One guy who has been banged up, has been in and out, is Stephen Pradina. And I think I expected, and many people expected, he would probably be your top guy this season offensively. So when he is in there, it seems like he's playing well. But how have you tried to kind of fill the void whenever he's been out? And I know some younger players have gotten some maybe more expected run than you would have anticipated.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's exactly it. We expect Steven to be one of the top rushers in the conference this year, and I think he has a chance to do that. But when he wasn't ready to go, I mean, the only option you do is you got to put other kids in that are ready. And I know as part of our practice plan, we take a lot of pride in that we practice our young kids and practice our JV team. So you just try to put them in as best you can, and then you got to ask some other positions to kind of take more of the weight from the carries that he was going to get. So that's what we did. I mean, we managed the best we could. We got some young kids in, and we asked some of our seniors that they're going to do a little bit more than what we expected them to do.
What have you liked about Caden Hudak, one of the guys who stepped into that role?
Yeah, I think he just, Caden just has some natural ability. I mean, number one, I mean, that's what stands out to you. And I think we've just seen him just get better over the last few weeks of just knowing where to go. I mean, there's a lot to it to run the offense the right way, from the mesh points, from the aiming points, and just to know where you have to be. And I think with his natural ability, he's starting to feel comfortable learning how to execute things.
We talk about the mesh points and maybe the complex aspects of this offense. A lot of that falls on the quarterback, Dane Firmstone, and he had some experience coming into this season, but Cole Chatfield had been the guy for such a long time. How has he adjusted to a pretty significant role in your offense as a starting QB?
Well, I think he's done pretty well with that, and one of the things about Dane, when you talk about always trying to find leaders and guys that can be, show that leadership to the team, Dane's definitely one of those kids, plays with a lot of confidence, and when we talk about different parts of the offense and managing things, I think he's just done a good job with that overall. And I think he really has helped elevate the running game a little bit because we can give him some of the carries like we just talked about. He's definitely one of those kids that's picking up the load when Steven wasn't ready.
Richard Shawley's a guy that we talked to when we came up for your training camp. I would imagine because of that, he's probably one of the leaders, but production-wise, he's been one of your leaders as well, both receiving and rushing. So how has he elevated his game, and how important is he to the team's success?
Steven's really important, man. He's one of those kids that does everything right. Like, I'm talking from the off season to what we do in practice every day. He's one of those kids that, just cares about the team more than anything else. And the kids voted him one of the team captains, and I think he just displays those leadership abilities and just does a good job with us here. Just fitting into the offense, picking up his role, maybe even having to switch some positions in the defensive secondary to help us out. But real happy with Richard and what he brings to us here.
One thing that I always notice when we see you working with the team is that you focus a lot with the offensive line. And that's always been a pretty good unit for you. You've got some big boys, but you've also had to battle through some injuries this year. It's probably not gone according to plan. So how have you patchworked that and still made it work?
Well, I mean, that's boy, that takes a lot there, to be honest with you, but like I said earlier, we practice all our kids. We practice them all every day. And when one kid goes down, we're just trying to fill that gap the best we can and get the next kid ready, and when those kids have to assume more reps, we see that as going to be a positive as the year goes on a little bit, because those are kids that probably weren't going to get a lot of reps, but now I think are going to be in a spot to give us some depth here as we get down the stretch and get into conference play. So, I mean, it's you just manage it the best that you can. I mean, I can't make up kids. I can't bring kids in. So we're just going to move them around and coach them up the best that we can, and we do take a lot of pride in how we play offensive line. It just has to be really important. It just naturally is in a football game. So I think our kids have responded pretty well to what we've asked them to do.
I know numbers fluctuate every season and sometimes even within the season itself, but typically I have the feeling that the Vikings have better numbers than a lot of the other 3A schools that you might be going against. Is that something you take pride in? And do you notice that is a legitimate advantage most Fridays for your squad?
I think it has been an advantage for us. And I take a lot of pride in that, but I'll back up a little bit further and tell you, I just still think it's the Mount Pleasant community that still really cares about football. The coaches and the kids that play in the youth league and our middle school program, we got good guys there and a lot of kids out for that program. So I think it's something that, I like to take a role in kind of directing it. The fact that I'm a teacher in the building gives me access to a lot of kids as well. But it takes more than just me. And I think really what makes Mount Pleasant a little unique is just how big and football is still important to the community overall. I think is really special.
This past week against Laurel Highlands, obviously it was a lopsided affair. It did not come down to the final few plays, but 3 games already this season have been thrillers. That tremendous win against Jeanette, in which your team overcame a big deficit in the first half to win. You narrowly lost against Burrow, had that one slip away. And then you edged Ambridge, basically determined by a PAT by Tyke Snyder. So playing in those close games, being on both ends of the outcome, does that serve your team well now heading into the conference season and potentially the postseason?
Man, that's a good question. And, we talk about that stuff too. I think it does. It has to do that. Like, to finish games like that, like on the high school level, and to be able to score points at the end of the half or at the end of a game, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. So I do think that it has to build some character. It has to say something about your team. So you definitely like to see you come out on the right end of those games. And even the close ones that you're short on a little bit, I do think it really helps with building the team mentality.
It's now conference season for your team. It's kind of a unique wrinkle in the interstate that you play 5 non-conference and then you jump in and finish up with 5 conference games. Does anything change as far as how the team approaches it?
I don't know. Probably not really. Like I said, I think we try to get into our practice plan and what we want to do, and we try to stay good at it as best we can. But I will tell you this week, right now, point of focus is increasing the intensity, right? Increasing the amount of that we're just getting at things that we want to elevate our game. So I have tried to put on the kids a little bit that it is going to take a little bit more importance this week getting in the conference because, the whole body of work helps you at the end of the season. But you can control a lot of that by what you do in conference play, so we'd rather try to take care of things the best we can on our own. So we're just trying to elevate things this week and trying to get our intensity up some.
Your team's at home against the York Cougars, and so they got off to a great start this season, but they're reeling a bit. 3 consecutive losses. The offense hasn't been able to produce much. However, I'm sure you still see things on film that's going to present challenges. So what does York do well?
There are challenges with that, and we're not taking anything for granted. We're going to have to play our best to beat this team. We can tell that they're getting coached on both sides of the ball, and they're trying to execute their scheme within what they want to do. So, we have to play our best game to beat this team on Friday night for sure. Without question, we want to do that.
Any particular areas that will be focused to have success against York?
Well, when we talked a minute ago, it always starts up front, and I say that all the time. Like we want to have a dominant performance up front. We want to get our offense going, and we want to be able to play solid defense. And I think that's kind of the model that we want to be here going down the stretch. So I think those are all areas that we want to make a point of focus this week.
Lastly, I know we focus on your conference so much on WSN because there's 5 of the 6 teams are from Westmoreland County. So you get teams like York. Of course, you play Dairy area, Greensburg, Salem, and the rivalry against Southmoreland. Mixed in a very good EF team as well. Does it feel like most of these games in this conference this year and last are the rivalry type games that make the best out of high school football?
100%, 100%, and I give the WPIL credit a couple of years ago when they kind of reclassified things there, paying more attention to those rivalries and geography. I think it's great. I think that every game has that feel that it is a rivalry. And like, if we go back historically, we've all played each other like forever. I think it's great. I think it's nice taking a 15-minute bus ride or a 30-minute bus ride and not like an hour and a half. So I think it does a lot. I think it's pretty special with a lot of these games, actually. And I think they all do have that kind of feeling that it's very important. Every week just has that sense about it.
Well, Jason, thank you so much as always for doing this. I appreciate the time and good luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, sure. No problem, Sean. Anytime. I appreciate it as well.
That is Jason Fazekas, the head coach of the Mount Pleasant area Vikings. When we continue here on the Westmoreland on the Gridiron, we will hear from our player of the week, Southmoreland's Jackson Mickens, right here on WSN.
Along the arc of a woman's life, there are many passages. Growing up, chasing dreams, building a career, embracing wisdom born of experience. There are times that make good health and well-being so vital. We provide care that helps women thrive at any age, at any stage. Independence Health System. Expert care here.
Hurry into Mike Camlin Hyundai during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. New 2025 Hyundai Santa Fe's and Palisades, both available with 0% financing for 60 months. All vehicles are backed by the Mike Camlin Advantage. Oil changes for life.
On 4th down and 13.
Hawkins, pressure, Mickens will throw it down for a sack at the 35-yard line. Number 11, Jackson Mickens, the sophomore, making a big play.
Dan Flickinger welcoming you back to Westmoreland on the Gridiron. I'm very excited to be joined by our Week 4 Westmoreland Sports Network Player of the Week. He is sophomore Jackson Mickens from Southmoreland, who was an absolute terror on defense last week, had 3 sacks, tipped an interception to himself and ran it back for a touchdown. Also had a touchdown on offense and a 2-point conversion. So first of all, Jackson, congratulations on winning our Player of the Week, and thanks for taking some time out to join us tonight.
Yep, thank you for interviewing me.
Absolutely, man. Well, first of all, I have to ask you how good it feels to be 5-0. I know there's still a lot more work to be done. You're taking it week by week, that type of thing. But how good does it feel right now after that win against Ringgold to be undefeated?
It feels great. You know, we knew they were a tough team. We saw some people had doubted us. Some people said we're going to lose the game. So, you know, it feels great to be walking in Dairy 5-0, walking in Carnes play 5-0, and I'm proud of the whole team.
Well, I need to know what makes your defense so good, man. I mean, you had that big shutout in the second half against Blackhawk to put the game away. Last week, you went up against a team in Ringgold that had some real weapons, and you basically shut them down. They scored 1 touchdown on kind of a broken play. The quarterback broke contain, really good athlete, and he scored on you, but that was it. So what makes your defense so good?
I'd say we all play together as one unit. You know, it all starts every day at practice. When we practice defense, our offensive scout team's giving us a great look. You know, our coaches are putting us in the right positions, and I think as a defense, we all trust each other to be there to make a play when it's needed, and we all do our job.
I think the interesting thing about your defense, too, is like you had a huge game, but there were so many other guys, you know, that played really well. I mean, you know, Stanley Chapman, obviously, Dawson played well. I mean, the list goes on and on. Does that make you a more dangerous defense and a more dangerous team overall when you have so many different contributors?
Yes, I believe if you only have one person on our defense, you know, it's easy for people to game plan around you, but nobody can truly game plan around us. You know, we have pieces everywhere. I believe in everyone, all 11 on our defense, and I know that everyone will step up to make a big play when it's needed.
So I mentioned that Ringgold had some real threats on offense. Again, their quarterback, very mobile. Their running back, Ward, came into the game, I think the second leading rusher in the WPIAL. Dimitri Lowe was a good receiver. But what was the key to containing their threats in that game? Like, what was your game plan going in, and kind of how did you execute it, do you think?
We knew they were a big play team. They thrive off explosive plays, you know, all over their film, you know, long runs, deep passes, things like that, you know. They break off a lot of explosive plays, so we knew we had to stay home. We had to keep our head on a swivel, make sure we were ready, and just try to minimize those big plays, minimize those explosives. And I think they only had about 2 or 3 the whole game on us. So, you know, we did our part, and we got all 11 halves of the ball. We just played hard all 4 quarters.
Now, you had 3 sacks against that quarterback, Hawkins, that, again, was really mobile. When you rush a quarterback like that can escape the pocket, does that change your strategy at all as a pass rusher, going up against a guy that can move a little bit?
Yeah, I believe it does. I have to be more disciplined. Our whole D-line, we have to be more disciplined in our rushing lanes because he was a great quarterback. He's very athletic, very mobile. So, you know, you give him any type of breathing room, any slip up in your rush, and, you know, he could spring it for a 45-yard gain. So everyone, I feel like, not just me, but our whole defensive line, we feel like we have to adjust our rushing lanes and make sure everything's, you know, on point so we don't slip up and cause any, like, little mistakes.
Well, I thought it was really important that even if you didn't sack him last week, and now you had him 3 times, other guys got him too, but even on plays you didn't get those sacks, you still forced bad throws a lot. I mean, that was a big key in the game too, wasn't it?
Yes.
I don't want to go any further with this interview without asking you about the play of the game, man. Wow. So take me through the tip and the interception. Just take me through the play and what you saw.
I knew it was the game was coming down. We had a great lead. I liked where we were at as a team. I knew they were going to look to get an explosive play. I think it was 4th and 3.
Yeah, it sounds right.
I saw the running back. Usually he steps up and he would check in pass protection because that was his first priority as running back is pass pro. But then I saw him flare out. As soon as I saw the quarterback's eye shift to him, I knew that my job wasn't to get a sack and where I knew I wasn't going to get there. I just had to at least bat the pass down or make something happen. So I saw it go in there. And I just got a hand up, trying to knock it down, and it bounced straight up. So I saw it in there. I knew how to go get it.
Is that your first ever pick six in your career? Did you have any growing up?
No, I had a couple growing up.
Okay.
So it wasn't my first, but it was my first one in high school. So it was definitely special for me.
First varsity. Yeah, that's one that a lot of people I think will remember for a long time, and certainly yourself as well. You guys played extremely physical in the game, not only on defense, but on offense too. Is that something that you consistently stress, the coaching staff stresses, just being physical?
Yeah. Every Monday, we come in, it's a new week. It doesn't matter what score was Friday. Every Monday we're coming in with that 1-0 mindset. We gotta go 1-0. So, we're hitting during practice, we're flying around making plays. And that's just our coaches tell us all the time. Our defensive coordinator tells us we have to get 11 hands to the ball, we gotta play physical, play fast. And every week I think that's something we'll strive to do, is play physical and play fast.
So we've talked a ton about the defense, and for good reason, but let's talk about the offense a little bit. I mean, it seems like the last 2 weeks you guys have done enough, but maybe you're not, at the level you kind of want to be at yet, but you can answer that question. Offensively, how do you think you guys are playing right now, and do you have another level that you can get to?
Yeah, I definitely believe we have another level we can get to. I don't think our offense is playing bad by any means. We have a lot of pieces moving around, and just sort of growing pains, I'd say. But I know we'll all get figured out, and I expect to have a big game on offense this week. So I don't think our offense is playing bad by any means. Some people, they could say that. But, yeah, I believe in our offense. I believe in our coaches. I believe on the other 10 stars on offense. And we'll do what we need to do to get the win. That's all that matters.
What is it like to play for Dustin Schoaf? I kind of feel old, Jackson, because it wasn't that long ago that, I was watching him do what you were doing and those other guys were doing, like running over people when he was playing for York. And I feel like you guys have kind of taken that on and taken that personality of the way that he played, and that energy. And so what is it like kind of playing for him, and how do you feed off of, what he kind of has to offer energy wise?
It's great. He provides a lot of energy. He's getting us hyped before practice. He runs sprints with us. If we need a scout team quarterback, he's in there. Giving handoffs, throwing passes, things like that. I think he's very hands-on. He's very involved with the team. I think we thrive off that. We love that. We feel more connected to our coaching staff because they bring the energy every day. Sometimes you just need someone to pick you up, and our coaches will always be there for us. We need someone to help us.
Well, let's talk about you for a little bit. I know you have some college interest already. Can you kind of tell us where you're at? I mean, I know you still have a ways to go. You're a sophomore, but what kind of interest there is so far for you?
Definitely the schools that have offered me. Obviously, I'm interested in Akron, Miami, Ohio, and Sacramento State.
Mm-hmm.
There's some other schools I've reached out. I've received game day invites from a number of Division I schools. I received camp invites, and I really can't say too much on my recruitment right now because I don't really think about it during the season.
Sure.
I'm more focused on June 15th when coaches and schools can contact me directly. I think I'll start seriously thinking about and discussing my recruitment more then. But as of right now, I'm just trying to put the best things I can on film for them to see and hopefully gain more offers.
I was going to say, let your film do the talking. And I think you did last week for sure. What do you enjoy most about playing football, Jackson?
I love everyone can be themselves on a football field. People can't see your face. And people, most of you can do things they can't do in the ordinary world. You can be whoever you want to be. You can express yourself more freely. I like that it's physical. I like to hit people, and I just it's like an escape from everything else going on. Because some people they get stressed out by school and homework and just things outside of all that. But football is just a time of day where you can go be yourself and you don't have to worry about any of that.
Let everything out, man. Let everything out. Who's your favorite player? Do you have one? And is there someone that you model your game after?
I'd say on defense, I'd probably have to say Abdul Carter or Micah Parsons.
Mm-hmm.
And on offense, favorite player of all time is probably Saquon. Yeah, just the things he can do. It's special. Yeah, it's fun to watch, and I try to mimic some of that. But I do the best I can to be like them, and I try to model a little bit of my game after them.
Well, I want to see you like leap backwards over somebody then on Friday.
Who knows? Maybe it'll be this Friday.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe Saquon, man. Yeah, he's fun to watch for sure. How about your favorite pregame meal?
I'd probably say chicken and rice.
All right. How about some of the things you like to do outside of football? So I know that you're kind of at home when you're playing football, but when you're not playing football, what are some of the things that you like to do?
I just enjoy listening to music, hanging out with my family, and I play a lot of video games. So I'd probably say that.
What video games specifically? Madden?
Yeah, I play a little bit of Madden, a little bit of NBA 2K.
Yeah.
It depends. It just really just depends on the day for me.
Do you have NCAA football since it came back out?
Yeah.
Do you do a lot of the recruiting?
Yeah, I try. Yeah, I like NCAA more than I like Madden. I like playing with the college teams. Yeah, I just think it's pretty cool. Yeah, hopefully I'm on there one day. So I enjoy playing that.
Yeah, you keep doing what you're doing, man. You will be, and I'll get to play like with you on a team. That'd be fun. Yeah, like growing up, like I played a lot of NCAA. Then they didn't have it for a long time. And now, Jackson, I have 2 kids, so it's hard for me to like go through I have the game, but to go through the recruiting, I just don't have time to do it. So I need to like auto recruit, and it doesn't go well.
I try to auto recruit because keeping track of 35 recruits it's not easy.
I know, right? You need like like a legit college football program has like how many guys keeping track of recruiting, and the game wants you to be one person. But so let's talk about your next opponent. The Dairy Trojans, a big game, certainly because it's your interstate conference opener. What are your keys to victory on Friday? Maybe some of the things that you guys have to do well.
I think we need to establish our run game this week. I think they're a very physical team up front, and we need to match their physicality. We can't shy away from contact. So I believe on offense, we have to hit the ground running. We have to come out fast. We got to establish a run game. And in terms of defense, we got to keep doing what we're doing. We got to fly around, get 11 hats to the ball, force mistakes, and just see where the game goes from there.
Jackson, tremendous job with the interview. Thank you so much. Congratulations and good luck on Friday against Dairy. And we'll do this again soon. All right, man?
Yep. Thank you.
Sounds good. That is Jackson Mickens of the Southmoreland Scotties. We'll be back to preview games in Week 5 action right here on Westmoreland on the Gridiron coming up next.
State Representative Mike Reese was a great advocate for the kids in our community. He felt athletics were a vital tool in raising healthy, happy kids. The Mike Reese Memorial Fund offers grants to local youth athletic organizations so that every kid has a chance to play. Funding is available for new equipment, registration fee offset, facility improvements, and more. Visit MikeReeseMemorialFund.com to apply.
At Elliott Community Federal Credit Union, we're here to make your financial journey easier and more rewarding. With open membership to all that live, work, worship, or study in Westmoreland County, everyone can take advantage of our competitive loan rates. Whether you're doing home improvements, buying a car, or making a personal purchase. Plus, enjoy free checking and online banking with remote deposits so you can manage your money anytime, anywhere. Elliott Community Federal Credit Union. Make our house your financial home.
We welcome you back, and we thank both of our guests, Jason Fazekas of the Vikings and the Scotties, Jackson Mickens, for taking the time to talk to us. Well, Flick, it's the end of the line now, our final segment, the Week 5 schedule. And I mentioned that now every team will have at least one conference game under its belt after this weekend. And we've got some really crucial ones on the horizon on our airwaves. And it begins in Class 6A. Cannon-McMillan, Hempfield area. The Spartans are 0-2. The Big Macs are 1-0. But if the Spartans can win this game, I think that really gives them kind of an inside track potentially at being one of the 4 postseason qualifiers in this classification. Big Macs 3-2 overall, Spartans 3-2 overall. What are you going to be looking for on Friday night in this one?
Well, I think that, and I mentioned this, maybe even on the show last week, that if Hempfield plays Cannon McMillan before North Allegheny and Pittsburgh Central Catholic, I think they absolutely win the game. But it's just like, are they beat up? Do they have injuries? Are they banged up? Like, there are some guys nursing injuries. When you play those two teams in back-to-back weeks, especially, throwing on the road too, it's so hard. And then you have to look at the mental aspect too. I mean, these are, they were flying high. They were 3-0, leading into these back-to-back games against NA and Pittsburgh Central Catholic. And then all of a sudden you get stomped by both teams. Are they able to say, like, man, hey, tip your hat, NA and Central Catholic, they're amazing. They're, it's where we eventually want to get to. But like, now we have to worry about making the playoffs. And can they reset and do that? I think that's what kind of they'll be facing this week, because I think it's a very winnable game. But again, like, how much did that take out of them the last 2 weeks?
And the Big Macs are kind of trending the opposite direction. So they started 0-2, but they've defeated South Fayette, Armstrong, and Mount Lebanon in 3 consecutive weeks. So they're feeling pretty good about themselves. Yeah. Maybe not completely dominant victories, but they found a way to win the last 3 ones. So they've got a little bit of mojo coming into Greensburg to play at Hempfield area. Southmoreland looking to stay perfect. The 5-0 Scotties against the 3-2 Derry area Trojans. This is the conference lid lifter for these teams in the Class 3A interstate. We love the interstate conference. A lot of Westmoreland County representation. This is at Derry area. I'm doing the broadcast because your brother a well-deserved week off. So I'm excited to see the Scotties. I think this is the first time that I broadcast their game since 2019. And the last time I did the Derry area Trojans, Ahmad Ward was running crazy against the Burrell Buccaneers. Yeah. So I'm excited for this one. It's come kind of easy at times for Southmoreland. I don't think that this is going to be an easy win for them if they ultimately do prevail. I think we've seen the Trojans, they have some firepower on offense, and they seem like, with the exception of that Freeport game, they've been in every game. They've hung around.
Yeah, they have been. And again, as I mentioned a few times, up front, they do have some bigger guys there. We highlighted Dylan Pitzer. I get confused.
Yes. Dayton's at the University of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I got confused with his brother there for a second. Dylan, we highlighted him, a few weeks ago, just, his size up front. And I think that will help Derry. But again, the way Southmoreland's defense is playing, I think actually, Derry's defense is going to have to play well in this game, because offensively, I don't think they're going to rack up 34 points again. So, they have to find a way to do something offensively, certainly. But, with as well as Southmoreland's defense is playing, Derry's defense is going to have to make some plays as well. And you don't want to discount Southmoreland's offense either, because obviously they have some game breakers over there. So should be an interesting game. Again, yeah, you mentioned Interstate Conference, always fun to cover with so many Westmoreland County teams, and a really good Elizabeth Forward team too.
And I believe Dustin Schoaf has a fairly recent former Trojan on his coaching staff. Am I correct about that?
You are, and now
Max Malice.
Max Malice, that's who it is. Yeah, that's right. I thought you were putting me on the spot there. I'm like, I better hit the Google machine real quick. No, it is. Yeah, Max Malice. Those two are boys. And Dustin actually is really good friends with Dom DeLuca, who obviously was, let's just say it, one of the best athletes in Derry history, 3-sport athlete, wrestler, volleyball player, and football player. They played together at Mercyhurst. And I know those guys always are talking to each other. As a matter of fact, Schoaf came up to the press box after the game, and I was like, was DeLuca watching? He's like, he'll probably text me at some point. I think he's in Colorado doing something. I'm like, what's he doing in Colorado? He's like, I don't know. So no, it's a really good dudes, both of those guys. And so, yeah, you have a little bit of a Derry connection with Max Malice, although I don't think Max will be thinking about that on Friday.
Yeah, probably not. It is a big one in Class 1A Eastern Conference play. The Clareton Bears 3-1, including 2-0 in conference play at Jeanette, 3-2, 1-1. Juju's not going to be at this game, is he?
Not that I know of. That was actually funny a few years ago when he came and he was wearing like a hoodie and sweatpants. And I was pointing to him. We were actually at Clairton, I think, doing the game.
How about DK Metcalf? Can we maybe get him?
Oh,
instead?
yeah. I'd like to see him in person.
I guess they're going to be in Ireland, so it probably seems unlikely that that's going to happen.
True. Yeah, they won't. Well, Juju could be there, I guess. I mean, probably not. But I pointed at him, and Brent Wiggum thought it was Terrell Pryor. He's like, oh, there's Terrell Pryor down there. And I'm like, no, that's Juju. I don't think that's Terrell. Well, no, that's Juju. It's the Steelers, whatever it was. So anyway, I don't think we'll be seeing either of those guys.
No, but hopefully we see a good game. Clairton, as good as Jeanette and Greensburg Central Catholic have been, they have really not challenged the Bears all that often. So let's see if that can change here on Friday night as Jeanette looks to bounce back after that loss against Leechburg. Franklin Regional desperately needs a win. The 0-5 Panthers, well, they head on the road to play Kiski area. Cavaliers, we mentioned, might not have their starting quarterback, Landon Artman. We'll wait and see on that. They've got some really good skill guys, but still so young up front that they're kind of losing the line of scrimmage more times than not. They're glad to be home. They have played 4 straight road games, so maybe some home cooking for the Cavaliers. A couple of teams looking for their first win in Class 5A Big East Conference play. Greater Latrobe has the unenviable task of heading to the Wolverina to play Woodland Hills. Woody High coming off of a non-conference win against Shaler. So Woodland Hills is 1-0, Greater Latrobe 1-1 in the conference. Thomas Jefferson at Bell Vernon area. Flick, in most years, this has been one of the best games of the entire WPIAL season. They've met in championships. I would think TJ is going to be the heavy favorite. We'll see if the Leopards can hang around. This is their first conference game for both these teams in Class 4A. So we'll see how it plays out at the beach. Elizabeth Forward at Greensburg Salem. The first game for these teams as well in the Interstate Conference. EF is 4-1. Golden Lions 2-3. York at Mount Pleasant area, a good Westmoreland County clash in that one. That also the opener in the Interstate Conference. Burrell 1-4, 0-1 in the conference at East Allegheny. The Wildcats are 1-4. Freeport at Valley. The Vikings looking for their first win. Not going to be easy. They are going against the 5-0 Yellow Jackets. Ligonier Valley at South Allegheny. That a matchup of 0-5 and 5-0, much like the Freeport and Valley game. The Gladiators really riding high. They are 2-0 in the conference, and the Rams are 0-2. Norwin at North Hills in a non-conference game at Martirelli Stadium, and chance to bounce back for the Knights. And Penn Trafford is at Plum. That also a non-conference game. Southside Beaver 4-1 at Monessen. The Greyhounds also 4-1. And Greensburg Central Catholic with a Saturday game. It's a conference one as they head to Oakmont to play Riverview. Pretty significant game. Centurions 1-1. The Raiders coming off of a game that they put up like 60 points against Springdale. They are also 1-1. Each of these teams are 3-2.
Are you going overall to watch, Sean? You going to go watch the game?
Well, I will get to why I will not be watching with the next game. Because at the college level, IUP is at Seton Hill. That, by the way, is a noon game on Saturday, simultaneous to GCC and Riverview. Yeah, that will be a game that we broadcast. A big one for Seton Hill, trying to knock off IUP. And, maybe anytime that you can defeat the Crimson Hawks, it feels like it's a massive win. So we'll see what Coach May's squad's able to do. I don't know if you saw this or not, Flick. They rotated at quarterback. So Hayden Teska got a lot of run. He and Bowden St. Marie, seemingly at least based on the box score, kind of split duties last Saturday.
I mean, I saw Teska. I saw he played. I thought it was just maybe in the fourth quarter. But if he played earlier in the game, that's
well, the passing numbers are pretty comparable. So maybe to your point, they were down. They just said, we'll try Teska a little bit. But we'll see. I thought Bowden St. Marie was pretty good the prior week.
Yeah.
The other thing is it's pretty clear at this point. Teams are saying we are not going to let Craig beat us. And Chiron's a great player, but he's not really quite gotten on track yet this season. I think everyone now says with a bullet point, we are going to force the passing game to beat us. We're not going to let him beat us. So we'll see if he can get it going against a pretty good IUP team. Do you know who one of the star players for the Crimson Hawks is this season, by the way?
I'm just going to guess it's Tasso Whipple. Is he playing yet or not? Probably not.
I don't know that he's a story. I don't think he's not the guy I was going to say.
All right.
Devin Whitlock.
Oh, Whitlock. I didn't even know he was there.
He transferred in after he started at the University of Pittsburgh, didn't really get any run with the Panthers. So he's moved on to IUP, and he's been a pretty special player. I believe he is a receiver.
Okay.
I will get in deep into my prep as this week moves along. But,
it's too early. We're not quite.
He's putting up some big numbers for the Crimson Hawks. One of the Quentin Martin was awesome, but I actually thought Whitlock was the more electric of the two when they played together at Bell Vernon.
And you're talking about those games against TJ, which we've broadcast in the past. I remember Whitlock. Yeah, he was really fun to watch. Honestly,
didn't he have a game-winning touchdown run in like the last 10 seconds against TJ? Am I correct on that? Or maybe I think it was against TJ.
I think it was. Yes. Yep. And it's Quentin Martin's amazing. He was an amazing player, still is. But Whitlock would touch the ball obviously every snap. There would be some games where Quentin wouldn't even get a ton of carries, but Whitlock would be running all over the place. So he was fun to watch.
Yeah, excited to see him again, although hoping he doesn't go off too much against the Griffins. And Hiram at St. Vincent, again, certainly keep an eye on what Jake Phillips is doing there for the Bearcats. That is a 1:00 kick on Saturday. St. Vincent looking for its first conference win after they dropped one last week in the PAC. Flick, the floor is yours. Now, I know you always love to talk about all the different things that we have. It's been a busy week already. We've had soccer, we've had volleyball, full effect of fall sports here on WSN, and plenty of articles as well.
Yes, all those things going on. And as you were rambling, I'm thinking, what are we going to, because you always put me on the spot what we have to talk about. How about for the Hempfield Cannon McMillan broadcast on Friday? We have two guys actually that one has never broadcast a game before. The other one hasn't been around for football much this year. That is Jack Ridenauer. He'll be doing play-by-play.
This is his broadcasting football debut in 2025, right? He produced a game.
That is true. Yes, he produced the first week for week 0. He will be joined by now former Seton Hill football coach Dan Day. Will be broadcasting with him as the color analyst. Dan already is asking me, what should I do? What do I need to do? What do I need to wear? All this stuff. So I got
him a full suit.
Yes, with tuxedo. So I gotta give him some tidbits. Make sure he doesn't yell over Jack. We always have to make sure the color analyst doesn't do that. But I think honestly, maybe not right out of the box. I mean, you get used to it a little bit. But Dan I think he can be really good. I think he can be really good. I mean, he is, as you know, Sean, he never stops.
Does he miss talking to me every week?
No, but he never stops talking, knows the game really well, has a ton of energy, positivity. Like I think he can be really good. Now, how much time he has on his hands, I don't know. I mean, obviously he's not coaching Seton Hill anymore, but he has 4 kids and he has another job now. So, but to have him every once in a while, I think is really cool. So tune into the Hempfield Cannon Mac game.
And by the way, another guy who you always thought would be a good analyst has turned up as an assistant coach at Leechburg, it turns out.
Oh, Sean Liotta. We did not know that. I was interviewing Thomas Pallone from Jeanette, and he mentioned Liotta, and I'm like, wait a second, did he say Sean Liotta? And we got done with the interview, like we were done, and I said, is Sean Liotta coaching at Leechburg now? He said, sure is. And so I don't know if something went wrong with the Arena League that he was involved with or not, but yeah, he's at Leechburg. I had no idea.
Yeah. Some guys that, were head coaches and they're like, well, I'm done head coaching. They're always going to find a way to be involved in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, he's a football lifer. I don't know if he and Randy Walters had a connection previously. I have a feeling that they did.
Well, I looked it up, Sean. I think that Randy worked under him somewhere.
Yeah.
Where was he at before Burrell? Now I can't remember.
He was at Albert Gallatin. He was with the Clareston Bears when they had a lot of success.
I think
as well.
Walters was under him, and then now it's obviously the opposite. Another guy, by the way, and I think maybe I've mentioned this before, who always said when I retire, I'd love to do colors, Rich Bowen. And he said that to me a few times. I think he would have been great. Unfortunately, passed away last year, but he would have been great. I think.
And he was still coaching.
That's true. He was still coaching, so he couldn't give it up, man. He couldn't give it up. We certainly think about him from time to time.
And by the way, who he was most recently with was Ty George. He seems like another guy.
Yeah.
That if he wanted to pursue it, could probably be a broadcaster.
There's a lot of coaches, I think, right now they could do it, but maybe someday. How about Dave Kiefer? I think he may have mentioned it too, and now I guess he's
we still see him wandering the sidelines
Saturdays.
Games.
Anyway.
All right. Well, that's about all that I got, Flick. So we're looking forward to some big games this Friday. And of course, as we mentioned, you always want to check out the preview articles. You always want to check out the article late Friday night. If you're up at like 2 a.m, I typically post it then. But if not, you can check it Saturday morning like normal people that sleep on a typical schedule. So we have the previews, we have the recaps. And then, of course, social media is the big thing on Friday nights.
That's it. You're right.
You're supposed to add to it and say, yes, we have all this.
100%. We have everything that you would ever want for Westmoreland County sports.
People know by now. They watch every week and they hear us say it every week, so we don't have to repeat it. So, all right, why don't we just call it quits now? And
hold on. Our recruiting Thursday, hopefully, that's scheduled to be with Brady Brown on Thursday, who used to play football. I wish he still did, but dairy wrestler who recently committed to Purdue. So,
yes.
So we're going to be Jack Radnauer is going to be talking to him if you want to check.
And if you're a fan of the other football, soccer, Paloma Swankler, a former Norwin Knights legend, is featured this week as well on our Westmoreland alum Q&A. All right. Well, we covered all of our bases. We've done it all. We've seen enough for one night. Let's bid adieu. But you know where to catch us again. It'll be next Wednesday, 7 p.m. But for now, Sean Myers, Dan Flick, and you're saying so long for now, right here on Westmoreland on the Gridiron.
Good night, everybody.